So today we are going to learn about segment grouping. So this is the most confused topic, but when it is learned properly, it is very easy topic and we can score very good marks in HL7 certification. So if you are aware of what is segment grouping and know how we are dividing the segments, it would be easy for you, or else we'll just have a gist of what is segment grouping. So if you have anything like this, the square bracket, it is nothing but the particular segment is going to repeat 0 or 1 time. If you have flower bracket, the particular segment is going to repeat 1 or n time. So we will write this code over here and try working on it. So this particular basics are very important. If you are not aware what is 0 or 1 time or 1 or n times, you can go and watch HL7 tutorial of mines in the same playlist. It will be helpful for you. Now what I'll say, for example, I'll just take one example saying that PID, okay, it is nothing but 0 or 1, means this particular segment can repeat 0 or multiple times. So again, I'll say something like PID, if my segment is over here, it can repeat 1 or n times. Okay, I am just removing this time. So yeah, that's a basic knowledge we should know before working on it. So we'll take this particular example. So flower bracket, nothing else, again bracket. So you can see, I'll just take a screenshot of this and paste it over in our group. Perfect. Now I'll just zoom it and we'll get to know what is this particular segment. So in our HL7 exam, they'll ask whether this is a proper segment or not. So how to identify it as a proper segment? For example, in this place of segment 1, I'll take something known as PID. Okay, as flower bracket says, it can repeat multiple times, so I can say okay, it can repeat multiple times, not a problem. Again, segment 2, I am taking it as even. In this complete examples, I will take segment 1 as PID, segment 2 as even as an example. So over here we don't have anything, so it means it will only repeat one time. That's perfect. Okay, again segment 1 is optional, 0 or 1 time. So segment 1 is nothing but PID. It can repeat, or in our second scenario, I won't repeat this particular segment 1, means I'll remove it. So yep, it is sufficing all the scenarios. For example, even over here, if I remove this, this will suffice this logic 1 or n. So it can be 1 time or n time. And similarly over here, for the segment 2, yeah, it should repeat manually. It's in the order properly. So there is not an issue with this. Still, you might be confused. What is the problem then? What we are discussing about. So I'll take one problematic scenario. These are all proper examples. So I'll take one problematic scenario which will explain the actual problem. So I'll type it as proper segment over here. Let's highlight this for our understanding. Perfect. Okay. Now what we'll do, we'll try to take an example. So here in another example which says segment 1 as repeating. So I'll take PID. Okay, I can take any number of bits as possible as it is repeating. Again, same segment 1 is nothing but PID. So here it is nothing but 0 or 1. What I'll do, I'll say, uh, okay, one time this PID is being repeated. So over here, you will get a question, this PID, this particular PID belongs to this place or this place. For example, I'll remove this. So just tell me, for this particular thing, the PID is repeating 3 times, or PID is repeating only 2 times, but for the second PID is nothing for this particular second one. So it's problematic. There is no proper order. No one can tell because the same segment 1 is repeating over here. Again, same segment 1 is 0 or 1 times over here. So we cannot differentiate. For example, I will type as number as PIDs any possible. So for example, someone comes and says, as is repeating, this 6 PIDs, 5 PIDs belong to this particular place. Again, the third person will come and say, no, the PID is repeating only 5 times from here, but the fifth PID is nothing but it belongs to this place. So this is not a valid segmentation. We can say it as improper segmentation, and you can highlight it over here. So we'll take another example, not a problem at all. For example, yep, I'll say it as PID, okay, and again I'll type it as PID. So nobody can differentiate whether for this two PIDs belong to this only, because as we can see here, it is 1 or n. So it can be like this PID belongs to this particular part, this PID belongs to this particular part. So it is not a way of proper segmentation. Now we'll take another proper example. Okay, I'll copy this and we'll decide why this is a proper example. Okay, you should be very focused on this particular part. You might get confused. Now I'll say again, segment 1 is nothing but 0 or 1. Okay, you should always remember square brackets 0 or 1, flower brackets 1 to many. Okay, I'll say it as 0 or 1. I'll take it as speed one time. I'll give a space again inside the flower bracket. So it is nothing but all these things can repeat as many number as times as possible, but at least one time it should repeat. So what I'll do for your understanding, I'll give it as a flower bracket. Okay, I'll do something. Segment 2 is nothing but EVN, right? I'll type it as EVN. Okay, that looks good. So again, segment 1 is nothing but PID. What I'm doing, so it's 0 or 1. I'll type it as PID. Okay, so this thing can repeat multiple times, right? One to many. So I'll copy this. Again, for our understanding purpose, I'm removing this. Okay, this particular part can repeat as many number of times as possible. So what I'll do, I'll copy it as many number of times as possible. So it is easy for me to differentiate about this. For example, PID is nothing but this belongs over here. Okay, 0 or 1. Okay, this EVN PID is nothing but it will belong to this particular part. Similarly, again, if this EVN PID it comes, you can say, okay, there is a repetition character, so this particular part is being repeated multiple times. Okay, you might be thinking, no, there is another scenario. Okay, we'll take another scenario. Okay, in this scenario, what I'll do, as it is 0 or 1 optional, I won't even type anything. Let it leave blank. Okay. Again, in this scenario, as segment 2, it doesn't have anything, so at least it should repeat one time. I will type it as EVN. Okay. Again over here, you can think that segment 1, yeah, we will take it as repeating at least one one time. Okay. Don't get confused. So this block belongs here, EVN PID. So it can again repeat multiple times, right? So when it is repeating, I don't want to take the same scenarios again and again. I'll take other scenarios. So what I'll do, I'll see only this has been repeated twice, so I only gave this two. So when we merge everything, will you be able to differentiate what's the proper segmentation? Yes, because you can say when it is EVN, you can say this part is EVN, again this part is PID, EVN, PID, EVN, PID. So when it is repeating multiple times, you can easily understand this. Oh, I'm sorry. This particular repetition belongs to this part, and this segment 1, which is nothing but PID, has not been used at all because it is 0 or 1. So it can be called as a proper segmentation. I still know you are still confused, because even I was confused in initial days of this topic. Now we'll take another example. I won't say whether it's a proper or improper. You will just try to assume what type of example it is. Okay. So over here, there is another example. These two things over here. What we'll do, we'll just zoom in for our understanding. So segment 1, it is square brackets, 0 or 1. What I'll say, okay, bit is 0 or 1. In the second scenario, I'm not repeating, I'm giving a blank space. So we'll go through all scenarios. Again, over here, we'll just give flower brackets for our understanding. We'll come to this place. Similarly, we'll give the same flower brackets over here for our understanding. Okay. So over here you can see segment 2 is nothing but 0 or 1. So what I'll do, I'll give EVN over here, and again I'll give blank spaces. Or actually, I want to do as many scenarios as possible. I'll give blank space. In segment 1 is nothing but, again it's PID. As I said, for segment 1 I am taking PID, segment 2 I am taking EVN as example. Okay, because it should repeat at least one time because it doesn't have any bracket. Even I should give PID in the second scenario. Even for segment 3, I can name it as segment 3. I'm just naming it for understanding purpose. For example, we can even name it as OBR or anything. I'll again copy this same thing over here because it doesn't have any bracket, so at least it should repeat one times. So in this scenario, what I'll do, as it should repeat multiple times, I'll give it like this. Okay, I'll remove the flower brackets. I'll remove all the flower brackets. Similarly, if I want to repeat this thing, I'll copy and I'll remove all the flower brackets. Now we need to debug it, right? So as we are giving blank space in the space of question mark, I'm even removing this question mark. I'll remove everything. I'll just go back. Now let's trace if we are able to trace it properly. Perfect. Now you are coming and someone says, hey, where this EVN belongs to. Okay. You will come and see this particular segment 1. It is blank. Okay, again you want to see there should be a repetition order for this. EVN PID OBR, EVN PID OBR. And you will say, okay, PID is over here. Nothing but this particular part. So you are able to easily crack it down. EVN PID OBR is a repetition part. Again, EVN PID OBR is a repetition part of this particular thing. So automatically PID would belong to this particular part. Now, oh, you said, wow, it's amazing. But what in this case? Here, it is PID OBR, PID OBR. Whether you will be able to judge this as segment 1 or segment 2 or segment 1 over here or segment 3 over here. So intelligent people will say, okay, it is PID OBR over here, this particular two things, and this was not used, this was not used. What I'll say, I'll just give a blank space. I will use this as a PID, okay? At least one times has been repeated. I'll do this. At the segment 2, what I will say, I will use this as at least one time repeated. Okay, EVN. That looks good, right? Okay, that is nothing but, yeah, this particular part. We'll remove this everything. We'll go back. Yeah, again at segment 1, I'll say it has been repeated and it is nothing but OBR here, what we are giving. Okay, perfect. So EVN PID OBR, EVN PID OBR, and PID is nothing but this one. So this should repeat multiple times, right? I'll just repeat it. Now let's join everything. You can see over here PID EVN PID, OBR EVN PID, OBR. For example, if it repeats once again, it might be complicated. So to understand PID belongs to this particular segment 1 or PID is name nothing but this segment 2, and segment 1 is nothing but this EVN and segment 3 is nothing but this PID. Nobody will know, right? So again, you should be very focused on this topic. As many examples you will do, it will be very easy for you to understand. So here we have how many segments? Segment 1, segment 2, segment 3. Three different types of things. So here we have three different types of things: PID, EVN, and OBR. But PID came in between. So you cannot judge whether PID is this segment 1 or not. By understanding this view, you can easily say, okay, PID is nothing but this thing, segment 2 is this thing, and segment 1 again is PID, segment 3 is again OBR. But in real time, you cannot judge what segment belongs to which particular grouping.